Think playing the performance game makes you powerful? Think again. Real domination belongs to those brave enough to shatter their masks while everyone else keeps pretending. Why are those who refuse comparison silently dominating everything? Let me tell you something about real power players. They share one trait that terrifies outsiders: a serene indifference to other people's opinions. Not arrogance. Clarity. They know themselves so precisely that external noise can't penetrate their core. Look at empire builders who transcend generations. Those who transformed ideas into movements, products into religions, brands into cultures. What did they all do? Rejected the script they were handed and wrote their own. Not because they were rebels, but because they understood copying someone else's path guarantees mediocrity. There's a fascinating story about a warrior monk during feudal times. While others obsessed over titles and recognition, he spent days in silence, sharpening his technique. Not to impress masters, to achieve mastery. When finally tested in real combat, his calm was so unsettling that opponents surrendered before even fighting. He won without violence, because true power intimidates without needing demonstration. The performance economy created a generation of compulsive comparers, everyone measuring success by audience size, follower count, validation volume. But validation is the opium of the insecure. The more you need it, the less power you have. Those who truly dominate don't seek validation, they pursue excellence. And excellence gets recognized, not chased. Brands that exploded in recent years did something counterintuitive: ignored market rules. While competitors tried pleasing everyone, they chose a specific audience and became radically authentic for that audience. Result? Fanatic loyalty. Because authenticity creates tribes, and tribes wield power money can't buy. There's a tactical concept used in intelligence operations. Not reacting is a form of action. When you stop reacting to what others are doing, you force others to react to what you're doing. You stop being a player and become the game. This dynamic inversion is where silent domination lives. The serene confidence of those refusing to enter the comparison game comes from a deep place. They know they're competing with yesterday's version of themselves, not other people. While the masses obsess over being better than someone else, dominators focus on transcending their own limitations. It's a completely different mindset, and produces completely different results. Here's the naked truth. The more you try proving your worth to others, the less worth you demonstrate. Because real value is self-evident. Doesn't need advertising, doesn't need performance. Manifests naturally when you're aligned with your essence. People feel it. Opportunities appear. Power accumulates, not because you chased it, but because you stopped running from yourself. So tell me, are you still running the marathon of external approval, or ready to walk your own path, even if it's lonely at first? Strategic solitude always preceded great achievements. How does your authentic movement influence entire generations? Here's what few understand about authenticity. It's not an isolated act, it's a silent revolution. When you decide to abandon masks and operate from truth, you're not just changing your life, you're changing the game for everyone around you. There's an invisible cascade effect that happens. The person who sees you being genuinely you, unfiltered, without performance, without excuses, receives tacit permission to do the same. It's like you're pioneering territory everyone wanted to explore but feared. You become living proof that it's possible to survive, even thrive, being real in a world of facades. Ancient philosophers already knew. One authentic person is worth more than 1,000 followers. Because that person isn't replicating others' ideas. They're generating original thought. And original thought is the only currency that never devalues. While everyone repeats the same scripts, you're creating new paradigms. This doesn't put you ahead of competition. This removes you from competition. Think long term. 10 years from now, 20 years. What will matter? The applause you received pretending to be someone you weren't, or the legacy you built being exactly who you are? The answer is obvious. But few have the discipline to live that obviousness. Because it's easier, short term, to play the game everyone's playing. But ease today is mediocrity. Tomorrow, embracing authenticity now positions you not just for success, but for lasting relevance. Because in a world where everything is ephemeral, disposable, superficial, whoever has depth becomes irreplaceable. You won't be another one, you'll be unique. And unique has monopoly value. Nobody can compete with something only you can offer, yourself. The power law closing this cycle is simple and brutal. Create, don't copy. Everyone's copying others' success strategies, trying to hack shortcuts, seeking magic formulas. But formulas produce generic results. You want extraordinary results? Then you need an extraordinary approach. And nothing's more extraordinary than being deeply, non-negotiably, you. Here's your call. It's not to be more authentic. You're already authentic, just buried under layers of social conditioning. Your call is to have courage to unearth that authenticity and live it, even when it scares, even when it disturbs, even when it doesn't get immediate applause. Because true power doesn't come from applause, comes from integrity, and integrity is what sustains you when everything else crumbles. So, what's it gonna be? Will you keep living the life they expect from you? Or start living the life that's rightfully yours? The world doesn't need more copies, needs more originals. And originality begins when you stop asking permission and start giving yourself permission to exist fully. What mask will you remove first? The one you wear at work to seem more confident than you feel? The one you wear online projecting a life you're not living? Or the one you wear even with yourself, pretending everything's fine when it's not? Drop awakened in the comments if this hits something inside you. Smash that like, subscribe, and if you know someone trapped in the performance prison, share this video. Might be the key they needed to break free. What if you could identify exactly where you're faking it? Now comes the painful part. Identifying your masks. Because you don't wear just one, you wear several. And worst part is some you've worn so long you forgot they're not your real face. Your performance triggers are specific situations where you automatically activate a false persona. Could be when entering a room full of important people, and suddenly, your voice changes, vocabulary changes, even your posture changes. Or when posting something online and obsessively checking reactions, adjusting your next post based on others' feedback. These are your weak points, and every warrior needs to know their vulnerabilities before going to battle. Here's a brutal self-awareness exercise. Grab paper. Write 3 situations from last week where you felt you were performing instead of being. Now, next to each situation, write who you were trying to impress and why. This list will show you where you're leaking power. Because every time you act to please external expectations, you're handing your power to those people. Samurai had a devastating concept. Don't serve 2 masters. Either you serve your inner truth, or serve others' opinions. Can't do both. Every time you choose external approval over internal integrity, you weaken your foundation. Like building a house on quicksand. Might look solid, but eventually collapses. Connecting with your core values isn't an abstract philosophical exercise. It's identifying what you actually want versus what you've been told you should want. The difference between these two things is the space where you're losing your life. How many of your goals are really yours? How many did you adopt because it was expected from someone in your position, your age, your situation? And here comes the bravest move you can make. Saying no, not to be rebellious, not to cause trouble, but to protect your essence. Every no to something that doesn't serve you is a yes to yourself. Basic investigation rules teach to follow the money. In your case, follow your energy. Where are you spending energy maintaining commitments that drain you? Those are the points where you need to establish boundaries. There's an old saying, truth will set you free, but first, it'll make you uncomfortable. Unmasking your personas will be uncomfortable. Some people will find it strange. Some will distance themselves. Let them. You're not here to collect applause from an audience that doesn't even know the real you. You're here to build something real, and real repels fake. That's how it works. Comment mask if you identified at least one, and leave that like and subscribe. Because in the next parts, I'll show you who already mastered this game and how you can do the same. How did vulnerability become the ultimate competitive advantage? Let's shatter a dangerous illusion they sold you. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the most sophisticated form of power that exists. And if you haven't realized this yet, You're playing the wrong game with wrong rules. Think about it. In a world where everyone's performing, filtering, editing every second of their own existence, who stands out? The person with audacity to be real. Not because it's beautiful or inspiring, but because it's rare. And scarcity creates value. Always has. Always will. Strategy masters understood that showing your humanity isn't exposing your weakness, it's exposing others' weakness who still believe in the illusion of perfection. Genuine authenticity works like a magnet. It attracts right people and repels wrong ones. This isn't motivational poetry, it's pure influence mechanics. When you stop faking, you stop wasting energy maintaining superficial connections that add nothing. People feel when you're real. They might not know how to explain it, but they feel it. And that feeling creates trust no marketing strategy can replicate. Look at leaders who truly dominate their fields. I'm not talking about manufactured celebrities or disposable influencers. I'm talking about those who build lasting empires. What do they have in common? Unshakable inner authority. They don't need to prove anything to anyone because they've already proven it to themselves. This confidence doesn't come from external validation. It comes from internal alignment, from knowing exactly who you are and not negotiating that for temporary applause. The power law here is clear. Never compete where everyone competes. While the masses obsess over appearing perfect, you dominate by being real. While they spend energy maintaining facades, you invest in substance. It's a brutal asymmetric advantage. You're not playing the same game. You're playing at a completely different level. And there's more. When you operate from your true essence, you don't attract opportunities. You magnetize them. Right doors open. Right people appear. Right projects find you. Not because the universe conspired in your favor, but because you stopped sending contradictory signals. You became consistent. And consistency is the foundation of trust. Trust is the foundation of influence. Influence is the foundation of power. Now answer me something. How many opportunities have you already lost because you were busy being who you thought you should be, instead of who you really are? The answer scares, doesn't it? But there's still time to change this game. Question is whether you have courage to abandon performance comfort and embrace truth discomfort. Comment real below if you're starting to understand this game. And since you made it this far, hit that like and subscribe to the channel. There are people who need to hear this. Why is everyone exhausted from pretending to be someone they're not? Look at the circus we've turned our existence into. You wake up, choose the day's mask, and go out into the world performing. At work, you're the impeccable professional. Online, you're the edited, filtered, perfect version. In relationships, you mold your personality according to the audience. And at the end of the day, you can barely recognize who you really are underneath all these layers of well-intentioned lies. The performance economy became an invisible prison. Everyone tells you to give your best, to always be on, to make an impact, but nobody talks about the price you pay for this. The burnout consuming you from inside. The anxiety crushing your chest when you realize you're living a borrowed life. The growing sense of disconnection, as if you're watching your own life through a fogged window. And you know what's most perverse? They taught you this is success. They sold you the idea that you need to adapt, mold, transform into 1,000 different versions of yourself to achieve something. Fake it till you make it, they say, as if pretending to be who you're not was the ultimate strategy to dominate the game. But here's the truth nobody wants to admit in 2025. This advice is destroying people. The more you perform, the less power you actually have. Because true power doesn't come from how many masks you can wear, but from having the brutal strength to not need to wear any. Ancient warriors knew this. They understood the greatest vulnerability isn't showing who you are. It's losing who you are, trying to impress enemies who don't even matter. Have you stopped to think how many hours of your day are spent maintaining a facade that doesn't belong to you? Every meeting where you agree with something you despise. Every post where you project manufactured happiness. Every conversation where you hide your true opinions to avoid discomfort. This isn't strategy. This is self-destruction in slow motion. The cruel irony is that while you're busy performing for others, you're losing the only thing nobody can take from you, your essence. And when you lose that, you lose everything. Because in today's world, Saturated with fakeness, authenticity became the scarcest resource, and therefore, the most valuable. Are you ready to understand how to use this to your advantage? Or will you keep dancing to music others chose?